As a reminder, it's Space City all day for the last couple maps. Mana Brick back on. Last map of the day, no matter what. Yes, a team can end the tournament if they get 2 Mana Bricks, but we are playing a maximum of 6, and we've made it to Game 6, Tiff.
It's going to end here no matter what happens. So if you are fallen, you are Legérance and Littest, what you bring into this match, you need to calculate accordingly to say, I cannot fall out of the top 2. I cannot afford to lose a ton of loot value, because if you're Mandel Brick addiction, your job, like you said, you've already outlined it. You either need to get that Mandel Brick to secure your spot at the top, or you have to find a ton. And right now, when you see the operators that you've got left on the table to make that happen, look what they kept in their back pocket though. A Viren is available for them, but Luna's completely off the table for all of our teams. Fallen and Perry, and even No Game No Life, they do still have a Hat Claw that will be available to them. A couple of teams still not really loving the whole Nox thing. Typically, he's going to be the operator that a lot of our teams just decide to not even play. So who is going to make a play for the Mandel Brick? Because that is all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I mean, the minutia of operator comps at this point are not thrown to the wind. I don't know if Legérance just doesn't like Siniva, or if they're saving him for the last round. You could see, I mean, if I am playing this map, I'm not the best player in the world. I'd say that I'm pretty solid, definitely above average. I'm running 2 Sinivas for the last round of the day, right? I mean, you're able to hold angles. You've got a ton of cover you can play with. You can play information gathering out in the lane. You could grapple gun somebody and pull them in. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what Legérance is doing. They got the first brick, and then they've just bided their time since then. Technically top 2 with Fallen. Who knows what they've got in their back pocket. But definitely, we'll see some folks maybe use Nox. Not definitely. We have a couple other operators you can use, but we are running out of choices as we get in to our final map of the day. Here we go, Tiff. I am so excited.
It is the one match that is separating our teams from going to land to compete for $500,000, Ghosh, to compete against 8 different regions that are going to be represented, to be able to call yourself one of the best teams in Delta Force. Ooh. And this is the only match separating.
If you see a team get wiped, and they're not a top 3 team, they will not be making land. There are no second chances. There are no maps left. There is nothing else you can do. One game of Delta Force could dictate whether you get a life-changing opportunity or have to watch from the sidelines and try again next year. Quick look at the spawns, though. Legérance, left side of your map, playing around Dormitory with YJK, a top slaying team today. You gotta watch out for that squad, absolutely. Gonna play nice and slow to start. On the right-hand side, though, No Game, No Life. Nothing to lose either. They're gonna come swinging in and immediately see Fallen. Notice that they're there and potentially either play for this fight or just try to get to Central Command. I'm not sure exactly what they want to do, but plenty of time still left on the clock.
Dare I say, again, very nervous at what is happening and what is at stake here. NL has to play to the craziest level of perfection, right? Craziest level.
Yeah, perfection is absolutely needed for these teams. You can see Fallen is playing nice and slow here on the northeastern side of the map. They've absolutely spotted No Game, No Life. Make sure they don't give away a nice, powerful position on the northern side of the assembly room.
Ooh, okay. I imagine this match is going to go really, really slow. And if this is what they're going to do, right? They're going to sit here, they're going to focus on up and just play for any engagements. But it's not slow over here. Yaku, the hero of match number 5 for YJK, is going to be the first one to fall here. And it's going to open the door for LGDT to get absolutely mixy. So they just keep on with the angles here. It's going to be Nox and Zap kind of throwing down. But guess who goes down in the process? Zap gets picked on up. The trade's coming on through. I'm scared for this. A 2v1. And if I'm the last member of YJK, you cannot go down here. You have to back on up. Try for the preserve.
huge take from them. Able to wipe 2 members of YJK. This time, a different solo gonna have to go insane to keep their dreams alive on this map. They've had a couple great rounds, but they haven't had a round big enough to make a huge difference on the leaderboard. Jack gonna peek the angle and wins the gunfight. Down goes Vlad. It's gonna be a 2v1 now as he does get the full as well.
The enemy got the Mandel brick. Find and stop them.
Mandel brick in hand, and look who picks it up. They understand immediately that they have to be the ones that get the decode if they want to go to LAN. This is the only chance that they have.
And they're gonna immediately throw it into a decoding station this time. And look, I am not a naysayer, all right? I am not one that talks bad about teams. We'll get to it in a moment because there's a huge fight on hands right now. No game, no life out of here. YJK also out of here. Perry turning the tides in their favor. Finally, it's about dang time. 4 teams on the map. We will not be seeing no game, no life on LAN. We will not be seeing YJK on LAN. Down to 4 teams. And Tiff, to finish my point, I'm not a naysayer, but for some reason, Mandel Brick Addiction chose the spot that they lost at, not the spot that they won at just a moment ago. But Mandel Brick Addiction will win this tournament if no one contests them in the middle of the map.
They're going to play it to perfection on the time. You can see that Legerons and Lattes, who had that spawn over towards dormitory building, are going to be lurking around the west gate. That's going to be the closest opportunity for them to get over towards the centrifuge area. We do have that kind of outer hallway, but look at how they've situated. They're not going to play from the interior of the building. You do have Skydee that's going to have that angle on the outside. This is a very different setup than how we saw Fallen go ahead and guard this back in match number 4. Perry, though, fresh off that first initial engagement, are going to be sprinting, looking for an opportunity. But when you have Skydee holding this angle, how many times have we seen players kind of thread through the underneath of the truck to make sure that no one can push from there?
A huge opportunity. There was plenty of time once you start to decode. Everybody gets a flag, by the way, that a team that already has a Mandel Brick is the one decoding it. Match point team, if you will. So everybody knows it's one of the 3 squads, and already Mandel Brick Addiction has found an angle onto Stickinson, who gets punished. Only into red timer, but right now, every piece of resource they have getting chucked out. Bolito almost out, but is able to stay on his feet for now. Starbaxter and Co are just holding this angle to make sure we don't get thirsted. We'll go for the revive when it's safe. This is a clutch or kick moment for Paris. One of the only teams left on the map that doesn't... Actually, the only team left on the map that doesn't have a Mandel Brick.
Oh, I don't think we're moving quick enough, Goj. I'm not gonna lie. I know we're being cautious here. I know we're trying to kind of suss out all the different players and where they are. And if we're doing it with a D-Wolf, Byron, and Nox, so be it. It has to be Nox. They have to be your hero. That silent assault. The whirlwind disc coming on through, and LGDT working their way up. Prior to this, we had Skydee that was holding the angle. He went ahead, retreated into the building, similar to the playstyle we saw Fallen recreate in match number 4. They're not going to fall for the trick. But with just under a minute left, they know if they want to truly advance on, that they have to be the ones to hit the decode.
Gotta do it. Skydee was holding the angle. He gets smoked out of his brains, out of his shorts. So he has to back up. Zap going for it. Now Skydee's going to repeat this. Bolito's holding the other angle. Legerons gets punished for it, but Perry comes to play the third party to pick up a double. Down go 1 member of Mandel Brick Addiction. Down go 2 members of Legerons. Down to a solo. Perry trying to go for the trade. Mandel Brick Addiction's going to win it right here if somebody doesn't make a move. Stickinson alive. Has an off angle. Isn't able to get the trade. There's another one in the corner. Finally gets one, but it gets turned and burned. Turned and burned. Mandel Brick Addiction. Somehow, some way, they take down all of Perry. They don't shoot first, but they shoot last, and they are going to win this competition by capturing the second Mandel Brick. Unbelievable. They know they won. Now it's about punishing their opponents.
It's not even about punishment here. The tough part for Legerance and Lites, now that Mandelbrick Addiction has decoded, they guarantee that slot to China, yes, but then you have Fallen and Legerance and Lites that are going to contend based on that total loot value because they each have a Mandelbrick. And Legerance and Lites only has one player currently upstanding, and he is in the sightline of Fallen.
Are you kidding me? Nox is out of here. Fallen lands the knockdown. Fallen lands the equipment. And Nox is out of this lobby. Legerance gone, dead, with one Mandelbrick and technically lower in total assets than their opponents. Fallen is still on the map, and Fallen looting means we think we know who is making land. We think we know it's Mandelbrick Addiction and Fallen. The only thing that could happen here, the only reason I'm holding my breath, is that if Mandelbrick Addiction with 2 players wipes Fallen, and Fallen loses more assets than Legerance lost, we could see Legerance still technically make land. It is that close. Fallen doesn't know that. They don't know the scores. There's a delay. There's no way to learn that information. They just got to play their life, and they still got to clutch or kick. Mandelbrick Addiction, they've already done it. Right now, Mandelbrick Addiction, they just want to get the kills because why not? There is nothing at stake for them besides wiping their opponents. And right now, they're giving the signal for Fallen to come in and make a play. We're going for the revive, and Fallen's going to come in for the wipe.
This is going to be a big deal if they can make this happen. Nice shots there, but you're going to give up your information. It's Buldo who falls to Flarich. Everything that I learned about Fallen last week during the regional semifinals, that they are very scary to fight, and they are proving just how easily they can break down one of the most formidable teams that we've been talking about, who have been showing out in the world scrims. And Fallen, the way they just took them down with ease is insane. That fight alone should have done enough to not only ensure that they don't fall out, they don't lose loot value, and that they should have just taken their ticket to China, hypothetically.
Unreal. What a way to finish out a match that still has 9 minutes on the clock. This is unbelievable. I mean, Mandelbrick Addiction were so sleepy the entire tourney. Couldn't get anything going. Get punished left, right, and center. Every which way. Couldn't find anything in the first 4 maps. And then they go back to back with the Mandelbrick on Space City, clutch or kick, ice in the veins. And you'll be seeing Mandelbrick Addiction on LAN in China in about a month's time. And likely Fallen joining them. Good grief. Yeah, there's our numbers. Total assets on the left. 31.7 million from Fallen. Absolutely reminiscent of what they were able to do in semifinals. Legerance just played a hair too defensive, I believe. Wow, what a way to finish out this map, Tiff. And frankly, we're going to watch them loot for 8 minutes here because they want to maximize their value. Probably about 4 minutes because they got to make sure they get to an extraction, but they want to maximize their value. I mean, they don't know what we know, right? They don't know that they've done it. They just need to get out of this lobby. It's just a matter of getting to an extraction. They technically don't know that everybody on the map is dead. They can start doing the math with all these boxes, though.
You really can do the best, right? You saw all of these players kind of fighting for the Mandelbrick, so to see how many teams were in the mix there, it's a shame that Legerance and Lites, they were going for the Mandelbrick. They were trying to swipe it, right? It's just unfortunate that they lose 2 players in the corridor, and then Fallen is right there, investing so much utility to make sure that they just wipe everyone. Oh, geez, Fallen have done just the conservative gameplay. I mean, 4 kills, right? And I say conservative, but you've done enough kills that way. You preserve all of your gold. Like, this is just insane. Now what can you find to kind of put the little bow on the entirety of match number 6 for you?
Yeah, I mean, let's take a moment while we have 7 moments for some breakdowns here. Because, I mean, let's take a moment and kind of look back on this tournament and look back on this map in general. Space City really changed everything for these teams. I think the strategies weren't necessarily wrong. It's just a matter of execution. One thing Fallen did so well throughout this course of this tournament. Again, I'm hyping them up. They're the last remaining team on the map. Mandelbrick Addiction. We'll talk about them here in a little bit when we announce them as our champions, because they are. getting both the bricks. What was so impressive about this Fallen team is their willingness to have trigger discipline, their willingness to play extremely slow together, and then what I can only assume is fantastic comms to be able to play so clean together and swing at the perfect moments to wipe their opponents. This Fallen team, this isn't the first time we've seen them, obviously, in semifinals. Yes, but they played in other competitions as well. I've cast it over Pro Rock, what seems like 1,000 times at this point. Over the course of several show matches and Delta Force Global Leagues. But this roster today was unstoppable. Kills category. So many team wipes. And obviously their loot value speaks volumes to that. Over 30 million is insane in the course of 6 maps.
It's just impressive when you really think about what that performance looked like from the semifinals, right? 15 mil total loot value. They did get 2 Mandel bricks, but it doesn't matter because as long as they secure the 2nd place and play that long game, that's what you need to do. And to send 1 player out on the extract for that just conditional one, you're really just out here trying to solidify, and now you're going to send 2 players back. This is the exact same strategy that we saw earlier on as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we could talk about the minutia of this. You'll see more of this when we get to North America a little bit later today. You know, they don't know that they've done enough, so they're going to send 1 player out with a majority of their loot just to put some points on the board, just in case they run into some opposition. And they did this earlier, right? They did this in the brackish round. They sent 1 player out, left 2 on the map to maybe play spoiler, run around the map, go for kills. I think they're beginning to realize they are likely the last remaining team here. But want to be safe, rather safe than sorry, absolutely. And I think looking back on this team's performance in general too, you know, we think back to that brackish map where they were able to do that, where they were able to play spoiler to later on. I mean, the margins may not be that thin now because they have an entire map for 9 minutes. But going into that final gunfight, things could have been different. Laterons could have been ahead of them in total loot value if Fallen wouldn't have played spoiler in that brackish round. If we remember, Laterons actually lost quite a bit on that round. And that's how close these competitions truly are. It may just take 1 team fight, 1 trade, Fallen's decision to send 1 out of the lobby, stay 2 on, pick up a couple in transition, playing third party. I just really impressed with these guys.
Yeah, it was just definitely a roller coaster of a couple different matches because you think back to that initial Zero Dam where Perry walks out with what, double digits in loot value, and you think, okay, this is a roster that's setting themselves up for success. That's going to be someone that's going to contend for those Mandel bricks. But then you go into the first Mandel brick round and you're like, oh my God, they got basically jumped, right off the rip, can't get anything moving, and they answer back even then on that next airdrop round. But for Fallen, they have been one of the most consistent teams, constantly, like you said, making those really integral decisions that have led to their success. It's wild that when you think of the difference from Lagerons to Latest compared to Fallen coming through the qualifiers, fighting for every chance that they can get, LGDT coming in from the Delta Force Global League, being the winners of Season 1 and Season 2, and kind of knowing that they're an invited team and doing what they can. It just didn't look anything like what we had seen in the Global League. And I think that's the funnest part, that the Invitational Qualifiers have played out so vastly different.
Gonna send another player out here through the extraction point. And again, just trying to maximize loot value. A strong play for them. And I think, you know, while we have just a couple more minutes, since we're going to be talking about our champions here shortly, Laterons, just heartbroken for them. Delta Force Global League, like you said, champs, Season 1, Season 2. Great guys as well. Definitely worth a shout to their streams. They've been really strong competitors and big proponent of the Delta Force esports ecosystem. Obviously, we'll see them more into the future. They are one of the strongest teams out there, just barely missing the mark today. But a strong team sometimes doesn't always win. The other 2 teams a bit stronger today. It's about executing on the day that everything is on the line. Both these players now running towards the extraction, going to get out of the map. What a wild day today, Tiff. And again, I just tip my hat to all of our competitors. I mean, Perry, too, could talk about them for a while. Historical team, just couldn't quite get the mantle brick today. But extracting for these two players means we are done with Game 6, which means we know our champions. May not have talked about them a ton today because they snuck in the final 2 maps and go back-to-back with mantle bricks. Mantle brick addiction living up to their namesake. Unbelievable job from this trio to secure the mantle bricks when their backs were against the wall. They didn't have the total assets they needed. They needed the mantle bricks, and they got them. You're going to be seeing this team on LAN in China. Unreal competition from them, Tiff.
Not only did they destroy in the regional semifinals from Group B, they came out and it wasn't the best start for them, right? Things were definitely looking tough. I was seeking it. I was like, hey, you know, maybe the first 3 games just really weren't what Mantle Brick Addiction needed. But they came back fighting tooth and nail through the back half of our series. They came...
Assuming we're right, here's the confirmation. Yes, Mantle Brick Addiction lost some total assets, but they are the top team today. They got a Mantle Brick in this last map. You can see it there on your screen. This is just match 6 leaderboard. And obviously 9.9 million from that last map. Fallen did everything they needed to secure 2nd place. Here's a look at the overall leaderboard. Extremely well done from these teams. Unbelievable stat line, by the way. 34.8 million, almost 0.9 million there for Fallen with a mantle brick to their name. Frankly, dominant performance from them, albeit Mantle Brick Addiction, the top team today because of our double brick format. Congrats to our top 2 teams, Tiff, Mantle Brick Addiction, and Fallen, headed to LAN in China.
That is so impressive. Congratulations on securing those tickets. I can't wait to see what you do here because the storylines just keep writing themselves. If you're going to have the top team through the semifinals last week from not only Group A, but also Group B advancing on. They worked for it, they earned it because something about everything must be earned, nothing is given, and they truly live up to that. They get to advance on to that Delta Force Invitational next month in China, $500,000. Sure, you've proved that you are the best teams that can represent EU, but can you be the best in the world?
Can you be the best in the world? A great question for these top 2 teams. $500,000 on the line, 12 teams from 8 regions. You're not going to want to miss it. You'll learn more on socials and everywhere in between. Really pumped about this one. But we got to take a look at our pricing from this competition because this is a big one as well. Some extra cash exchanging hands. And, well, for the sake of getting Les Durants and some extra cash today, they did get 3rd place, and they do earn a bit more than their opposition. $1,000 to their name, $333 apiece per player to reach that $1,000 total. Perry, YJK, No Game, No Life, a great competition as well. You earned your spot in the finals and therefore walking away with $500 each, Tiff.
That's so worth it, right? It's a consolation, but at least you're in the cash. You're still getting money. You're still learning, right? And I think that is the most important part. But for those that not only get $4,000 and a ticket to LAN, or Fallen with $3,000 and a ticket to LAN, look, I'm excited. And that's only happening in a month's time.